So now we've created an agreement that whenever somebody's going on too long and the host and the co-hosts aren't doing their job by dropping her to listener, that we're all going to raise our hand, or not raise our hand, and say Marmite, right?
Yes, and if you're worried about being too obvious, you could just turn around and say, "Oh, I've just eaten some Marmite on toast."
What if I just like moan like, ugh? Because that's what I'm doing.
No, just because you do that.
I am so sensitive.
Yeah, but you do that so often anyway. We
I
wouldn't
am
know
so
what it
bloody
was related
sensitive
to.
to these people that drone on and on. It's like my body clock is like, they haven't shut up yet. Hey, there's a problem.
You know what bothers me? I try to be, and I know I'm as guilty as anybody else. I can drone on for sure, but I do try to be brief. Brevity is important. And then I'll like get my thought out really quick and I'll say what I want to say and I'll be like, okay, I'm done. And then somebody will come in after me and they'll speak for 15 fucking minutes. And I'll be like, what the hell? Didn't you not catch on there? I was trying to set the pace. And you're just like babbling away. And now I'm taking that time back.
And it's, let's be clear,
I
it's
would
the
rather-
it's the chronic like droner honors that are the problem. Not doing it once and every now and again, because of course we all do. But it's the ones that we know when they talk, we're all going, oh God.
It'd be so funny if they could see like actual video of your faces when they're banging on. They would get the cue quicker for sure. You're right.
See,
All
the
of
way
you
this
are
feels is how I
pretending
want-
that they're missing cues. They're not missing cues. They don't
Yeah.
care.
I think that very subtly, we've all been talking together for months and we're developing a style. And I get that new people might need to learn that. So, okay, fine. We need subtle, classy ways of letting them know that then. And I think it does start with signaling that we're all on the same wavelength. You know, Marmite. So yeah, this has been one of the most helpful spaces. I've thought in my head, but I would never say out loud, see previous reasons, how helpful it would be to hear from all different styles of hosts and styles of speakers about these kinds of issues of the social mores of a space. And it really helps to know how much in the same mindset we are, doesn't it? It helps to know that moving in this direction is good. It's only going to make the spaces smarter.
I definitely hope so. The problem is we're kind of in an echo chamber. There's only been about 7 or 8 of us in here.
But it's not about that. It's about bolstering the strength to handle the people that go astray. You know, the German Shepherd brings the sheep back.
You could also go down the rule route, like read the rules, and if you don't adhere to the rules, I'm going to kick you out. So then you've set that boundary already.
I was
also,
thinking
the
of making up rules.
the socialization of women to adhere and please is strong, and some people go through a really strong socialization of that, and that is not an easy thing to remove.
Just FYI, so I used to host spaces quite often, and then I would co-host a lot as well, but I stopped for a while just because but
it's so exhausting.
Well, my competitive nature exists within co-hosting as well. So if the host of the space sets boundaries, I am the fucking enforcer of those boundaries. And when people, I'm like, hey, you've been talking too long, you're gonna need to wrap it up.
Some people just really want to be in a space. You know, management may refuse entry for no reason at all, except management wants to refuse entry. You can't cover all the bases, right?
Yes, because I've been thinking. I even made some up. We talked about this months ago of making up a list of basic rules for a space and then posting it as the main a pinned tweet, which I didn't know you could do.
Yeah.
However, it's really difficult to come up with. It's really difficult to put things in words, and that's where the socialization thing you kind of. And there's a whole bunch of spaces I won't go in because of the people in them, but I'll listen to the recorded version. But the tweets, reading those tweets after the space is half the fun. It amazes me the number of people on here, including people we know who have spaces, who when you have a problem with them, you ask them a direct question, And they use a lot of words to not answer your question. Like the fucking sheep right now that's been alone for years on that little strip of land in Scotland. It amazed me, the response to Nay's question about it. He actually said almost nothing, but there were like 3 paragraphs. People who communicate like that drive me bonkers. I acculturated myself to the more somebody pressures me, the slower I go. And actually, as far as it's a good idea, because when people are pressuring you, they're doing it for a reason, like the fast sales technique or something. You know, they don't want you to think about it. Why did I bring that up? Sorry, stream of consciousness. I'll try the Haley Elon thing, but it's not enough, because other people need to find those answers. Other people need to know how to fix your likes disappearing. Other people need to know, why the fuck am I shadow banned? How do I find out? Who do I ask? And why don't you tell me so that I can change my behavior to not be shadow banned? I have no idea. I did nothing. But a whole bunch of us were shadow banned. 3 months before that, a whole bunch of us were search banned. I'm not told why. I'm not told how to change my behavior to not be shadow banned, much less how to fix it. That's not the way you run a company. Ugh. And the first 2, my first 2 suspensions, they were for bullshit reasons, totally made up. And I responded to them going, no, my banner is not violent or offensive. And they refused my appeal. What I also wanted to bring up to, thank you very much, to Red and Heather, is that when people are being obnoxious, you don't have to announce or discuss why you're dropping them to listener or booting them from the space. You can just do it and keep going. I've been very polite to long-winded people and said, this isn't the topic of the space, or I think you've spoken long enough, because to be honest with you, there's other hands up. And then other people where I've said, please don't talk about blank or blank, and then they do. Okay, you're not a librarian who's like, we don't need to be teaching these people. They're just people. You can just drop them down to listener or boot them, depending on whether they were rude or not. A whole bunch of my friends in here, when somebody blocks them, they block them back. I never understood that, because you don't know why they blocked you. It might be true. Like maybe they don't like your accent. My main point is, you don't have to explain yourself all the time. It's okay if some of us don't like each other. I really like efficiency, so I'm very keyed into, like, people in spaces who repeat themselves drive me bonkers. There's some people I know in here who will say a sentence and then immediately repeat it, pause, and immediately repeat the same sentence. And I'm always going, am I rude if I point it out? Or is that a medical condition? And by the way, I'm not talking about sometimes. I'm talking about people who do it all the time. But I also know that I usually listen very closely. So when people repeat things, I actually feel insulted. I feel that they're assuming I didn't listen and need to be told more than once. You said that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, and like, look, I'm not trying to get dark or anything, but a lot of women have like brain injuries and shit. We might repeat ourselves and we might forget things.
And
It's
Jess,
just,
that's what I brought up. When I just said
see,
this,
I
I
wasn't
said,
paying
can I?
attention.
Oh, no. I'm agreeing with you. When I first explained that I had a problem with this, I said, in my own mind, I'm thinking, can I bring this up as being really irritating, or is this a medical problem? I never know. Like, and it's impossible for me to ask this. Like, how can you politely say, are you brain damaged? Does anybody else want to come up to speak? There's a bunch of new people in here. Chandler's emoting, but the majority of people have objected. Does anybody what is this can't remember the damn word. What's the word?
Marmite?
What else do you want to talk about? You want to talk about more things? Do any of you up here think of trends that you see in spaces that you'd prefer didn't exist or that we had rules against or something, guys? Like, I was very interested that one common space here has 3-minute timer and gives 30 seconds warnings with a hotel bell, ding, when your 3 minutes is going to be up. It really made it more interesting because people didn't go on hour and 15-minute diatribes of their entire life history. But in addition, one person, could be heard every 10 minutes. You didn't have to wait an hour to speak once to the point that you forgot what you were going to say. What do you think about
I
that?
think that
And
works
what time do
well
you think
if
would be
there's a
good?
specific topic that you want robust debate and or discussion about. If you want casual, fun talk, no. Ugh, my mic button's being stupid and glitchy. I wanted to say, Poppy, I commented back to you, but we've all been guilty of, oversharing or trusting people too much or whatever. But that's what birthed that meme. Is we were sitting in this space a lot like this, but about a year ago, or give or take a month or two, and talking about how people had just been wrecked in spaces, and we're like, right, why have we suddenly forgot all of our social knowledge just because we're sitting on a Twitter space? It was wild. It's like the Wild West days of Twitter spaces.
I guess since we're in the comfort of our homes, some people tend to just feel so comfortable that they forget they're talking to strangers.
Mm.
I think also it's normal that we always have new waves of people coming in here who've never been in a space before, for example, and they don't understand that you shouldn't talk until you listen for 2 or 3 or 4 minutes to figure out the vibe, much less the topic. I think I've done this a few times before in spaces. I've taken votes, but there'd be a vote up or down to bring people up in the first place, and then there'd be votes up or down.
So it's like the Roman Empire. Do they live or die?
Yeah. I'd want people to put their thumbs down while that person is speaking. That'd be a second vote. Like a year and a half, 2 years ago, whole bunch of different African nations would be showing up in our Telegram and DMs here, just trying to get your help to move to either the UK or the United States.
Oh my God! I
Because
cannot tell you the amount of times where a guy has come into a space, and I'll check if they come up to speak. I will definitely go check out their profile, and they're in their bio is about God and saving children, and then there's some picture of destitute children on their profile. And, oh, hi,
I block
ladies.
those.
Hi. How are you? How are you all doing? And I'm just here. I'd
Yeah,
like to. And I'm like, nah, out.
I block all those. I don't let them up to speak. And then there's the second kind, though, who's trying to get you inculcated to them from Nigeria or whatever, and they're looking for somebody to either send them money and or help them to migrate.
How long's the space been open?
Not that long. 5 hours and I don't know, 5.5 hours. That's fine.